streets as a widow stood alone at her doorstep, pressing her hands together to stop them from trembling. Her world felt empty, like the single jar of oil left in her home. Her husband was gone, her debts were rising, and the fear of losing her 2 sons pressed on her like a heavy stone. But even in the silence of her darkest hour, something inside her whispered, hold on. One morning, the widow gathered her courage and walked to find the prophet Elisha. When she reached him, tears streamed down her face like rain on dusty ground. My husband served the Lord, she cried softly, but now the creditor is coming to take my boys. I have nothing left except a small jar of oil. Elisha looked at her with kindness, the kind of kindness that feels like sunrise breaking through night. What do you have in your house? He asked again gently. Only this, she whispered, holding out the tiny jar. Elisha smiled, not because the jar was full, but because God was not done with her story. Go to your neighbors, he said, borrow as many empty jars as you can. Then go home, shut your door, and pour your oil into the jars. It didn't make sense, but faith often begins where explanations end. So the widow and her sons ran from house to house, gathering jar after jar, big jars, chip jars, tiny jars, jars with cracks, jars smooth as river stones. Soon the floor of their little home was covered in them. She lifted her trembling hands and tipped her single jar over the first empty one. A drop fell, then another, and then a stream. Her sons gasped as the oil kept flowing, filling the jar to the very top. Bring me another, she cried, and they did. 1 jar filled, then the next, and the next, and the next. The oil flowed like hope returning to her heart. It only stopped when the last jar was full, because faith leaves no jar empty. When she ran back to Elisha, he told her, sell the oil, pay your debts, and live on what is left. And so the widow who once stood on the edge of despair now watched her sons laugh again, free and safe. Her tiny jar of oil had become a river of blessing. Because even in dark, difficult times, God sees us, God hears us, and God provides exactly what we need.